right, joining me now before joined by Leo Holman is none other than Dr. James Thorpe. Hello, James.
Hey, Brannon.
I love your.
Good evening.
I love your
thank you
backdrop.
for having me on.
I love your backdrop.
Thank you. I've enjoyed your conversation with Jason Storms about abortion.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of which, I want to put a plug in.
Well, there you go.
This is an abortifacient, right? This is sacrifice. How the deadliest vaccine in history targeted the most vulnerable. It's my new book with my co-author, Celia Farber. This will be available. You can buy it in pre-print on Barnes & Noble, or I believe also on Amazon and on the editor, which is Skyhorse. But this will be available October 1st.
Excellent. How many pages? How many pages?
It's going to be about 60,000 words.
Wow.
It's going to be monumental.
Good for you guys.
It's going to be monumental. When you read just the first 3 chapters, you won't be able to put it down.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, folks, I hope you'll get a copy of that and go ahead and do the pre-order, will you please? All right, Dr. Thorpe, I talked about you tonight and Dr. Peter McCullough in my nightly newscast tonight. Here, I'm just going to read from the transcript. One of the world's leading cardiologists is raising the alarm over a major study that identified a bone-chilling spike in brain clots among the COVID vaccinated. American cardiologist Dr. Peter McCullough uncovered bombshell data showing that COVID mRNA shots have caused a staggering 112,000% increase in brain clots. And you were involved along with Kirsten Cosgrove and Claire Rogers. Tell our audience more about this tonight, because I read this in the report tonight, and shocking, absolutely shocking. I mean, this should be all over the news, but it's not, is it? No, it's not. And Kirsten Cosgrove was an up-and-coming, just a brilliant investigator, and she's in our advanced biological research group, and she's a head administrator. And so this is data that I've been working on for about a year. This is all governmental data. And so Kirsten Cosgrove and Claire Rogers, a PA, physician's assistant, and myself and some other researchers have just been very, very productive and published a lot. And this is right off the governmental data. And yes, the brain clots, cerebral venous thromboembolism, has just, according to the government's data, when you use their analysis using the VAERS database, it's just skyrocketed compared to any one other vaccine, like, for example, influenza vaccine, or all the other vaccines put together, Brennan. It's shocking. Well, indeed, we're working, my same group is now doing, we're going to be publishing our next series, and I believe Claire Rogers will be lead author on this. And we're looking at brain and spinal cord, CNS, central nervous system infections. Same data, different topic, same database. How many shots results. Does someone have to have the risk of these brain clots? 1. Do you know of many outlets that are reporting? I mean, obviously we did, but have you heard other outlets reporting this study? No, it's been published for quite some time, and I mean, I've worked on that database over the last year and a half. So it's Kirsten Cosgrove has just done an incredible job, and my research group, I mean, in this advanced biological research group that, as you know, you've had my colleagues on. I think you've had Dr. Ryan Cole on, who was part of that group, and you've had Stephen Hatfill, incredible physician. You've had him on. Yep. He was in, he worked in the Trump war room for 2020, the entire year, putting in 18-hour days. So he's in there's 6 of us in that group, and what we aim to do
is to achieve funding so that we can move forward with preventing this reproductive disaster that has resulted from the COVID-19 vaccines.
Well, again, the study by Drs. McCullough, Kirsten Cosgrove, James Thorpe, Claire Rogers examined data on the reports of the sudden incidence of cerebral thromboembolism following COVID shots submitted to the Federal Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System. So the government has this. That to me is, again, what I really want to hammer home. The federal government knows that there has been this massive spike, 112,000% increase in brain clots since the COVID shot rollout, correct? They know this, but they don't tell us, do they? And they keep pushing them. What are they on now, number 10? Number 10?
Yeah, 10, yeah. And I want to be fair to Kirsten Cosgrove. Peter McCullough wasn't the lead author, Kirsten Cosgrove was.
Okay.
So, but Dr. McCullough is incredible, and he's part of our research group.
But please go back to the government knows this. I mean, it's their own, you're getting this from their own VAERS reporting. So the federal government knows there's a 112,000% spike in brain clots since COVID shot, and there's not a peep out of them. They're more concerned about what pro-lifers are doing, those going to Latin mass and moms going to school board meetings, while we have a 112,000% increase in blood clots. People, I'm guessing, are dying, obviously, and some are probably being paralyzed, right? I mean, diminished forever that survive, correct?
That's correct. And what the government is trying to do, and my research team has published extensively on this, including Maggie Thorpe, JD, we published extensively on the America Out Loud platform the extensive nature of the fraudulent, totalitarian capture of the government of every thread of the fabric of our society. So, we published the FOIA request that busted the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists that were bought out. We busted the hospital systems in our December article that show $186 billion distributed to over 420,000 hospital systems in the United States of America to bribe them. Same thing we published recently with the CVS and Walgreens pharmacies. They enter into these cooperative care agreements, and they're bound by contract to follow the narrative. It's the same thing with the state of Florida Department of Health. I just blew a bombshell yesterday, documenting that the Florida Department of Health and Medical Board took $1.8 billion, Brandon. This is DeSantis, Ladapo, and the Department of Health. They took $1.8 billion that began in July 1st, listen to this, 2019, and extends for 8 years until July 31st, 2027.
So they're still getting the money?
They're still getting $600 million more dollars. Meanwhile, this explains why DeSantis and Ladapo and the DOH has ignored me and apparently ignored many others over the last 4 years.
This is where we start getting
communications.
This is where people in our audience, including myself, I'm sure you, start getting really, first of all, we get confused, and then we start figuring it out. We start getting frustrated because we think we find some advocates, some heroes, some people with a backbone, and then we find out this kind of thing.
It's really pathetic, and it turns out that apparently I'm not the only one that they've been ignoring for the last 3 or 4 years. We had on this show, or we were going to have on this show, and we should in the future, Joshua Lorensky.
Oh, that's right.
And in that post, Joshua Lorensky has a documented affidavit of how a hospital killed his brother, a decorated Navy veteran, likely due to DeSantis and Ladapo taking that $1.8 billion, demanding a lockstep narrative with the HHS CDC draconian protocol. You may remember that beginning in 2020, we weren't allowed to use safe and effective drugs, for example, hydroxychloroquine or ivermectin. And if we did, we got our hands slapped. And not only that, they pushed a dangerous, deadly drug called remdesivir, which experts the year before had said, don't use that. Even the World Health Organization said, don't use remdesivir. It's dangerous and it's deadly. But yet they pushed it. And when Joshua Lawrensky, in the Post yesterday, you'll see that he sent the governor a letter and the governor just blew him off. And Joshua Lawrensky is not the only one. We all know Heather Hudson and her devastating story with her son, college-age son, Cody Hudson. Devastating. She contacted me today after that article. She's written both of them several times. She's been totally ignored. So she's writing them once again and is going to CC me on that. And I will post that all over my X account because I've had about enough of this.
Well, I'm glad you have. I don't know if you saw this or not. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Worldviewreport.com, our daily aggregated, there it is, our daily aggregated news site. Folks want to go there, worldviewreport.com. Karen Kingston, the COVID monkeypox HIV super virus. I woke up today, checked some of the news sites, and voila, there it is. And I was like, started reading. Oh, I know Karen, she's a friend of ours. And, we had her on, start reading. All of a sudden, boom, Brandon House live. So they're reporting on what we were talking about, and they've even thankfully embedded the interview there. And of course, again, she is, as they say, she's warning about the COVID monkeypox HIV super virus. They are attempting to develop a virus that combines RNA from SARS-CoV-2, Mpox, and HIV. The aim is to have a super virus that can be aerosolized, and then from the resulting monkeypox infection, HIV can be transmitted to others through direct skin-to-skin contact, Karen Kingston says. On Wednesday, Karen Kingston joined Brandon House to discuss the U.S. House Committee questioning the alliance of the Biden-Harris administration alliance with the Chinese Communist Party and the U.S. biopharmaceutical FDA trials being conducted by the Chinese military. What do you make of all this, Dr. Thorpe?
Well, it's like everything else that's gone on in this administration and has just tremendously accelerated in the last 4 years. It's, what can I say? It's right out of Isaiah chapter 5, verse 20. Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who put darkness for light and light for darkness, bitterness for sweet and sweet for bitterness. Everything's upside down. And, it would appear that this administration, when you look at Lara Logan's post today, it says it all. It's extraordinarily scary. She documents that the election was stolen, clearly stolen. She, in her post today, it's just stunning what she's published on that post. And clearly the election was stolen in 2020. And clearly, I don't care who gets on the Trump-Kennedy ticket, they're going to steal it again.
I'm very afraid of that.
Enhanced all of these methods that are ultra sophisticated electronic methods to steal votes. And, God help the United States of America and this country if Kamala Harris gets elected president again. And I'm afraid that's going to happen by cheating.
Is this the post? Which one is it? 1 hour. That was 1 hour ago.
This was the post where today it has come to my attention from various sources that election-wise, we are up. She uses a bad word.
Here we go. Today has come to my attention from various sources. The election-wise, we are up the blank creek without a paddle. In other words, in the words of a former Intel professional, quote, America's elections are no longer about hearts and minds or even votes. They're a kinetic battle for ballot counting and cybersecurity in compromised software. Anyone participating in a mere ideological election is on the losing side already, end quote. Quote, the 2020 election revealed various pre-planned attack vectors. In Pennsylvania, we caught the unlawful insertion of 30,000 Biden votes on a thumb drive on video, and Biden won that county by 121% voter turnout of Dems and an obvious impossibility. We know Georgia had double counting and phony ballots. At 4 a.m. on election night, the SQL software allowed the theft of 20,000 votes for Trump to be taken and swapped to Biden without a user login record. just as it was designed. Unless these holes and new ones like massive registration part in Texas are plugged, the media has already started drafting Harris's victory speech. Trump Kennedy's popularity is almost irrelevant. The need to be arrest, game day operations, increase cybersecurity, paper ballots, or it's over. Are you paying attention? Well, I'm concerned about that. Absolutely, 100%. I'm also hearing, Dr. Thorpe, as I'm going to deal with Leo here in a second, that as we get past Labor Day, we're likely to start seeing more and more crises in the country to scare the living daylights out of the American people.
Absolutely. We talked about disease X. We've talked about the H5N1 avian flu. You talked about Mpox. Right now, these are not threats to the American people. This is just fear mongering. But they're working hard on gain of function research in the bioweapon labs that are all over the United States of America to make that happen. So, but I think the important thing is to be prepared, don't be scared. They're trying to repeat their exact same game plan from 4 years ago. This is deja vu of 2020. Try to scare the American people, frighten them, put fear in them so that they will not be able to, make cognitively wise decisions or be scared to even go vote.
Exactly right. All right, mention this to me because I know you're with this company, the wellness company. We also have the contagion kit. Do you want to tell our audience about that, as well as what I love that you guys do is also telemedicine? Tell our audience about that. They can find out more at twc.health/Brandon if they want a discount and help support this program. But you're with the wellness company. Tell me about some of these things that our audience can take advantage of, please.
Yeah, listen, this is we've known for 6,000 years in medicine that the earlier you treat any disease, the better the prognosis is. The only way you can treat the disease the earliest is to stockpile life-saving prescription medications at home. The only way to do that safely and legally is by buying the emergency medical kit from the wellness company and also the contagion kit. There's a complement of different drugs. These are prescription medications in both of these that are very effective. If started early, can treat probably over 50 diseases, including H5N1, and likely including many others, including anthrax, many other diseases. So every American family needs to have at least one set of these two kits, the emergency medical kit and the contagion kit.
TWC.health, let me go there, TWC.health, spell it right, house. /Brandon, there we go. TWC.health/Brandon, there it is. TWC.health/Brandon. Go up to medical kits and you can see all of them, including the contagion kit and the rest of them. And then, of course, you want to do virtual care, see a doctor, telemedicine with the wellness company, TWC.health/Brandon. Now, on Saturday and Sundays, before we go to Leo, on Saturday and Sundays, we air something called what? The Two Docs with you and Dr. Moon, right?
Yes, sir. And thank you for allowing us to have this platform. It's been a wonderful year.
Tell us about what's coming up this weekend, you know?
Well, we have a very special guest, a very famous guest, and I'm going to have your audience be surprised when they see the interview.
Okay. Well, they can watch it on Saturdays. What time, Reagan? Do we know the times again? Maybe Dr. Thorpe, you know?
I do. I believe that it's at 4 p.m.
Eastern
on Saturday, and I believe that it is at 11 a.m. on Sunday. That's Central Time.
Central Time.
Go to worldview2.com and just go to TV and go to live, and you should see us come on at those times.
And we also are airing at 9 a.m., I'm told, as well, on Saturdays, 9 a.m. Central Saturdays as well.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, we've added another hour.
I did not know that.
I didn't either till right. I didn't know that till right now either. I'm not the vice president of operations. That's Logan, so I did not know that. And then 9 a.m. on Saturday and 4 p.m. Central on Saturday.
And then 11
and then on what time on Sundays? Reagan, Sundays? 11 on Sundays.
11 a.m. Sunday.
Yep.
Good.
There we go. All right, check it out, worldviewtube.com, the two docs. And Dr. Thorpe, you can follow him on X. What's your X account? Throw it up there, please, Reagan.
JATHORPMFM. And look at my latest tweet from yesterday calling out the state of Florida Department of Health apparently bribed with $1.8 billion starting 6 months before the pandemic started. Go figure.
That is nuts. All right. Thank you, Dr. Thorpe, as always. You do a great job. Thank you, sir.
Thanks for having me on, Brennan.
Thank you. Say hi to Maggie.
Will do. And you
All
do the
right,
same.
Dr. Thorpe. Check it out, folks. Dr. Thorpe. All right. Joining me now is, well, first I better plug some stuff. We better make a little bit of money here. Then Leo, folks. Are there Black Swan events coming? Okay, before we go there, check this out real quick. Worldviewtalk.com. I talked to them today, and apparently they are getting a lot of orders for the new bulletproof backpacks. It's also a Faraday bag. It's not only bulletproof, but you can put your cell phone in there and protect it from an EMP. You can put your cell phone in one of the slots, and it won't send the signal out to where you're at, so you can't be tracked. So it's actually three things in one. They also have bulletproof purses. So again, you say, well, how would you use this? Well, if something's going down, you can use it to protect your front or throw it on your back and run. So again, I think this is a great idea. I've been hearing about them for a long time. I'm glad they finally got them at worldviewtalk.com. We have cell phones that do not store your data. This company does not store your data. Satellite phones, folks, get a free satellite phone with a very reasonable monthly plan. And then, of course, you can use the red arrow and scroll over and check out the Bivy, which I think are just very, very cool. You can get one, you get a package of two or a package of three. You can use your phone, put it on, what did she say the other night? Put it on airplane mode, and then sync it to this Bivy, and you send a text off your phone, goes to the Bivy, to the satellite, back down to the other person holding the other Bivy connected to their phone. So even if there is cellular disruption or the entire grid goes down, you can at least communicate with your family and friends. Worldviewtalk.com, worldviewtalk.com. Check that out. Of course, don't forget about going to melissahousebg.com, melissahousebg.com. This is, again, a product that we take each and every day. Melissa and I do. I know Logan's taking it now as well. And it is a product that has 80 clinical trials behind it. It is a powerful elixir with 3 powerful ingredients. I went and got my hair cut yesterday, and the young lady that cuts my hair, she said, boy, every time you come in here, Mr. Brandon, you got more hair growth. And she actually stopped and leaned over the top of my head and was looking at the hair growth on the top of my head where I have a little bit of thinning up there. And she said, you really have a lot of baby hairs coming in there. You're doing really well. This is amazing. And she had to use the thinning shears on my side of my head again. And she said, it's thick. And she said, it was even starting to turn up, kind of turn up and get a little raggedy on the back. It was so thick. And she was bragging on my hair. And we were talking about it. And the barber next to her says, what is he using to get his hair like that? Because she was talking about how much thicker it's gotten over the last, few months that she's been cutting my hair. And she said, you'll have to ask him. It's something he and his wife take. So we started telling her, and the female barber, she said, I need to do that for my hair. I said, well, you can go to Melissa House BG and get it. So anyway, there you go. We believe in it. My hands aren't cracked and bleeding still. They were cracked and bleeding for years, folks. You just can't understand how cracked and bleeding they were and hurt all the time. You'll see me wearing Band-Aids on my fingers over the years on TV because they're cracked and bleeding. Haven't had a Pepsid since December 2nd of last year. That's taking care of that problem. So many positives for me. Everybody has a different issue. As Dr. Mark Miller says, it goes to where your body needs it. Goes to where your body needs it. And we don't all have the same issues. So check it out. There you go. melissahousebg.com, melissahousebg.com. Yes, Gatatana, my green drink, which maybe Melissa can bring it to me real quick. I haven't had it tonight. This is a single-celled organism that bypasses your digestive system so it doesn't break down in your gut. And it is loaded with antioxidants. It is loaded with all kinds of proteins and fatty acids and all kinds of things your body needs. I highly recommend this. I take my Bella Grace, my Gatatana, and my Numi every day. And folks, I urge you to do this. They also have one for pets. This poor cat had a tumor in her eye. And after getting on the pet version of it, there you go. Look at that healthy kitty. So again, check it out, folks. Melissa, go to Bluegenics, I should say. Blue, BLUGENICS, bluegenics.com/Melissa. Check that out, would you please?